One of the most memorable things is that day when you guys came back and it was the day before you guys got the results, right? And she was there, and then we were just talking, whatever it was, and she's being her bubbly self, but then she had explained how bad the chemo was and how she was just praying to God that she'd have 2 minutes of just rest, or where she wasn't sick or whatever, just 2 minutes, and the pain and the nausea and the being confined in the little area, and then they had taken, there was the titanium plate on her head, and then she had, was it a shunt?
For a bit.
Yes,
yeah, she had shunt for a little bit.
And so, and then there was some mesh inside the titanium plate, right?
Right.
And so and she had just gotten through explaining that, and I said, Victoria, what do you think about this whole cancer thing? And she's like, well, I'd have to say it's 65% good and 35% bad. And I'm looking at her like, I'm looking at her, and she has gone through hell.
Yeah.
And she says 65% good and 35% bad. How does somebody have that, So,
I never understood it either.
Awesome.
And Scotty, one of the worst was when we were sitting at the meeting previous to the transplant. So you sit down with the director of transplant, in CHLA, to explain to you the horrible process, Because I don't know what is the purpose, but they really have to tell you, like, the worst scenario, right? So you got to listen to all the bad things your child is going to go through. So here we are sitting, the four of us with the director and explaining, what Victoria's going to go through. And all these horrible things, it's like being burned inside. She's going to experience this. Victoria, you're going to experience that. Because you're 15 already, you have to know that all the things are going to happen to you, so your skin may get burn from it. It's pure chemotherapy. It's not diluted, because we asked, what's the difference between getting chemotherapy, regular chemotherapy, and this time, well, it's pure. It's not diluted and nothing. So it's going to your system, and that's why transplant, this chemotherapy kills all your good cells, and that's why your bone marrow is wiped out. Like, you end up with no immune system, and that's why all what the process. But it's just what that poison is going to do to your body is horrendous going into. And then Victoria and Brianna will speak all the time how they want to have children and all that, and become aunties. And here the doctor is saying, and one of the things that you're going to experience is that you will never be able to be a mother. And explain medically, and a little bit scientifically what she was going to go through, and you won't be able anymore to have a child, become pregnant. After this, all your possibilities are going to be down to zero, so you won't have an opportunity. So here I am, we are all getting heartbroken. Brianna, you can tell that she was about to burst in tears, and we were all just like, it was like a crucifixion, and I remember she said, right there, stop the doctor. Doctor, can you stop? Can you give me a minute? You know how she was. And she's smiling. And I'm like, I was lost. I was about this close to say, I think we really need to rethink about transplant, right? It was our first time to listen to all that. And here's Victoria say, Doctor, can I tell you something? And I'm like, what is she going to come out with?
There's no telling. Yes. Oh, my God.
And she said, you're telling me all these bad things. And it's like I'm still seeing her clearly. You're telling me all these bad things are going to happen to me. All that won't be a mommy. And all those bad things are going to happen to my body. And I just feel like you're telling me I'm going to Disneyland. I feel like you're telling me that something good is going to happen to me. And that wasn't like, the moment was so serious, so like, there was not, previous to it was, we just came from something that was motivational, we just came from church, we just came nothing, we were like expecting what are we going to hear from this meeting, and here is like, our spirits were like more fearful than excited, right, to go to a meeting like that, and she come out with this like, smiling and said, you feel like you're telling me I'm going to Disneyland. I just feel like, I don't know what it is, but I just feel like wow, I'm going to go through all this? And I look at her and Brianna, you can tell, I remember seeing Larry like kind of lost. And I remember looking at Brianna. Brianna looked at me like, is she okay? And I'm like, Victoria, and no, Mom, yes, I feel like I wish I could have like a camera be taping, that reaction. And I'm like, I don't know if she's understanding what's happening. So anyway, the doctor says, wow, this is the first time that I'm sitting with a teenager and reacts like that. But let me tell you, Victoria, you have an awesome way to say things. That's what you think? Yeah, it's like going to Disneyland, right? And I think he's trying to also understand her reaction. And so, but let me tell you, you are awesome. And well, what someone said, if you're hearing something like that, but that's very typical of her, I don't know, I think it was a way to see suffering her way, and she is a very faithful girl, and I really, at that moment, didn't understand, and afterwards, Brianna talked to Mom, I feel like I want to cry, if I was Victoria, I would not be taking this, and we talked to Victoria, and she said, why not? It's okay, I can do this, but we're like, especially that, I feel like you're telling me that I'm going to, because she compared to those days going to Disneyland. Imagine those days that you feel that going to a happy place, Victoria. But she was aware of everything. She was aware of the suffering. She was aware of what's going on. Was aware that she was going to go to a very tough. Of course, once she was there, of course, she realized it was wasn't she could imagine, but she still went through the journey in a very strong spirit. She had a tremendous faith.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that was before we had that talk, or that was after she went through the chemo, and after the bone marrow?
That was
before.
That was right before the bone marrow, because they have to have this meeting with the family to explain to you what is the process, and
she's just like, can't hurt me.
It's like, almost bring it on, I'm a warrior, I can do this. And she always faced things with such a faith, such a strength.
I've heard people talk about that time is our most precious resource, our most limited resource. And I always thought that was the case until I heard somebody make an argument on a different aspect of that. And he said, it's not about time. It's about energy. Because if you have a lot of energy, you can do a lot more in a lot smaller amount of time.
Right.
Because if you're tired and have a headache and you're supposed to study, you're probably not going to, take a lot of it in. But if you're up and you got a lot of energy and, you're going to take it in a lot faster.
Yeah.
And applying that to life. So I mention this on a lot of the podcasts because it's something that's such a big part of my life as far as my outlook. Bruce Lee, one of my heroes, that guy was amazing. He died the year after I was born, in 1977. And there are repercussions today from that guy, and he was only 32 years old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't time, right? That wasn't what helped him make his impact. It was the energy. And then I read this book he has called Striking Thoughts and his philosophy. And basically Victoria was living up to what he was saying she was doing. And so where does that insight come from? How does a 15-year-old little girl get that type of wisdom, insight, discernment, whatever, energy? What is it? Where does it come from? I still wonder that,
I saw that clearly, she had a tremendous faith in Jesus. So, we all rely on something that we feel is our, how can I say it, the light of our life, someone people chooses, whatever. And Victoria, definitely, I believe that it was her faith. Yeah, we give her that faith, but like she said, I think I give thanks to my cancer, I got closer to God. And she always made sure that thanks to the cancer, she was close, but she got closer. Right before she was diagnosed, she recently had First Communion, as a Catholic, and she will go to Mass every Sunday. She was the altar server, and I do think that she had already a relationship with God. But cancer, I believe that definitely Jesus and Victoria ended up having a closer relationship once she was diagnosed, and she met suffering from very young, like many other children. But in that case, she already had a friendship with Jesus, and I think that evolved in a closer relationship with Jesus. So for her, I believe that was absolutely her strength came from Jesus Christ.
And she went from a girl, it was funny. You take her to the doctor, and she was sick, and if she just thought she had to get a shot, we go in there and, well, doctor, I don't know why I'm here. I'm feeling okay. I mean, to hit me with your best shot, you know? I mean, just went from that fear factor to just nothing. I don't know. I never saw her falter or crack or anything. She always had a smile, even when they kind of told us we've exhausted everything we can do, and you know, this is it. And she looks at the doctor. So I'm in the ocean, and I'm on a block of ice that's shrinking. She said, yeah, pretty much. She goes to the doctor, says, you know what, I can swim. She always found, I don't know.
I think at the end, everything translated into, she had a tremendous amount of hope. Yeah. So she has this virtue very strong in her. So whatever she went through, she was so, what can I say? I have an enormous amount of content of my conversations with her, where she will just tell me some things, and I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, where did you hear this, Victoria? She said, I know it. I said, because something people may think that Larry and I will sit down and give them all this speech, and he will learn, right? She was, of course, we will talk to our children, and she'll have friends, and but when she was diagnosed with cancer, she was 11, and she was reading only those books from school at that age, those funny books or whatever. We took her to church all the time, but she was not reading those, spiritual books where when you're older and you feed yourself with all these ideas and teachings, She was like, I don't know. I still believe, like I said, she ended up having a good relationship with Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was teaching us too.
How do you think that has affected your guys' faith? I mean, I that's just one of those things where you gotta question life, right? And had you had any struggles with your faith from that happening, or did it strengthen your faith, or was it a process?
It shook mine. I think the thing that helped not break it for me was her positiveness of this. And I kept going, she's getting this from God, and I got to follow it. But it shook mine. It's like, man, what, I just came through my stuff. I mean, I became a Catholic, and 2 weeks later, I get a double pulmonary embolism. I'm given less than 20% chance on leaving the hospital. 2 weeks after that, she's diagnosed with cancer. And it's like, geez, man, what did I do? I just wanted to become a Catholic. And it's like, did I piss him off? Is he telling me, hey, man, I don't want you. Go back to the way you were, or what? I mean, you go through all these thoughts, and it was a struggle. But she's strong. She kept me on track. And so.
I always... No, go ahead.
Well, the importance of family, I was just going to say.
Yeah.
But yes, I think at the end, we all face, even though we can be a close cell, as a family, we were very close all the time. At the end, you also face the situation as an individual, individually as a mother and father, individually as a man and a woman, and we all, yes, we are one body, but at the same time, each part has a function. And, I think from his part, it has his own way. And in faith, everything was tested through both. In my case, I just, yes, of course, you question what's going on. Your life, you thought it was perfect, and all of a sudden shift to this direction. And many people, we may ask, what did I do wrong to deserve this, right? We always want to, because we think that we are so good that we deserve everything to be good around. But then we realized that, in my case, I realized that our life is just filled with the blessings and the crosses. And I'm not saying that the cross is not a blessing, but at the end, I ended up. Victoria always said that cancer was a blessing for her. So having cancer be a blessing, right? I had a very hard time processing that part when she used to say, "Mom, cancer is a blessing for me." And as a mother, was like, I just don't. It's not a blessing. I was going opposite, but I never told her that. I would just let her think of whatever she was thinking and believing, because at the end, it seemed like that was enriching her life more, right? And but from my perspective of faith, it strengthened more, because I saw that believing in God and having a faith in God and specifically, feeling Jesus in Victoria's life, it was not all about just walking in clouds and flowers and joy and the sun and everything is so beautiful, but the reality of the challenge of life and the crosses. And it's when I believe that when I felt that Jesus was walking very, very close to us. I don't think that sometimes we realize how close it is when we're in the joyful times. We feel like, hey, this is our happy time. So that is from my own perspective. I feel like blessed, how blessed I am. And it's funny because I think I would have to say at the end of the day what Victoria used to say. I think at one point the blessing came feeling God so close from Victoria too. It's like, it was very amazing. I don't want to praise my daughter because it's not her. I know there's a lot of children and people in that situation, but I have to speak from my own experience as a mother. And absolutely, it was what a experience to watch someone so young, having this faith and seeing from very close, like Jesus was right there, very close to her. And it was an extraordinary experience for me as an individual with my own child.
I believe that. I mean, part of the reason that we're here talking as well is because I feel like everywhere she went, that there was just a light that emanated from her. Whether it was the energy, whether it was God. I think so as well. I think that is what gave her the strength. I know there are people out there that think otherwise, that don't believe in God or whatever, and that's cool. That's their deal. But again, all we can take is our own experience. And I have seen, how in the hell can a little girl say 65% good and 35% bad after she just went through hell and back on that? That does not come from an individual, I don't believe. I think that is definitely faith. That is definitely her faith. And so whatever that was now, was she always... So you just turned into a Catholic. Were you, before that, were you were you Protestant or were you...
Methodist.
Methodist,
but
okay.
Not participating in church very much. I got into it because she and the kids were in it, and I thought I've got to support this and move over to it. And the father at the church at that time was a great guy, and we had some talks, and I thought, he's pretty genuine guy, so, I moved over to it, so.
And so, growing up, Victoria... Was she always going to church with you, or how did that work?
Yeah, well, a little bit of history here. When we got married, we had to go through all this process, and because I had to respect his faith. I must still respect his direction and what he was born with. He was baptized, so, and I had to sign a document too where I was not going to press my husband on becoming Catholic.
Really?
Yes, that's the process with the Catholic Church. So we.
So the Catholic Church gives you that paperwork to not tell your husband not
this
to.
Says that I had to respect him on his on his religion, and okay, he can join on his own will, but I will not obligate my husband to become. And then he had to sign a document where he has to sign over me the application, and then I wouldn't interfere with the kids on choosing if they want to choose being Catholic. He has to allow them, or and vice versa.
Oh wow.
So, but that we have to respect that. So Larry left it all on me. Okay, no, that's okay. If he wants to grow, raise our children Catholic, that's fine. And I needed to also respect his side without having to, have division. It's just a very interesting part of it. But I decided that I was going to start raising Ben and Victoria both, and going to church and have a relationship with God. Because that's what I did when I was since very young. So they and then they went through the sacraments, and then Victoria and Brianna both wanted to become altar servers. So which is over there too for mass, and they were altar servers when Victoria got ill, and then things started happening. But there was an involvement, just like a regular parent, take your child to church and go through Catholic, sacraments and Fifth Communion and all that. So it was like a regular family going to church and having your children just coming with you to the church. So pretty much normal.
That's cool. When I grew up, so my dad never really went to church, So it was my mom, and she would push us, and it was a Protestant church. But my best friend was Catholic, so I would also go to catechism and stuff with him. So I would, because for us at that age, for us, we weren't really searching for a spiritual guidance or anything. We're just being kids, That's kind of how I see it. And so he'd come with me, and we'd do the Royal Rangers and go out and go, camping and stuff like that. And then I'd just go to catechism and whatever. We would just raise hell pretty much wherever we went. Like, we'd just be mischievous little kids, But then later in life, we connect on other levels, And so he was just here the other day. How did the Methodist... So if you didn't go to church that often, nobody really cared probably because they didn't know, I would imagine. Or did you get any flack becoming a Catholic?
No, didn't get any flack. My parents were believers in God, but I guess very loosely, my dad always believed in following the 10 Commandments and treat people as you want to be treated and follow the good book. But I guess they didn't feel they had to go to church all the time. We went on occasions like Easter or Christmas or that, but they weren't ones that, every weekend we got to go. But, I've kind of learned that through her. When we got married, I just started accompanying her because of taking the kids. I thought I got to be there to support it. And
it was a choice because I was respecting him.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to respect his... he was invited. It's an invitation only. I don't think you have to become
she never
anyone.
That's cool.
I feel like if you promise to do something, you have to achieve it. So I promised I wasn't going to force him. So it's all on him. If he wants to, if he doesn't, it's okay. So he decided to join.
Well, I think that was a good choice.
I think so.
I mean, obviously, just your daughters are amazing little girls,
Oh,
so
thanks.
It's pretty cool. I guess, and then now the whole idea of the podcast is people that have overcome adversities and are still dealing with adversity. And obviously, I don't think you've overcome this adversity because I don't think that's something that you ever overcome. I think you always just have to deal with it and figure out ways to sit and try to see the good instead of look at the bad, or when you feel emotions, try to discern and point it in a positive direction. Is there anything now that Victoria has passed, is there anything, or I guess what gives you the push to be positive, or is there anything that you are saying, you know what, I'm going to do this positive, or I'm dealing with this issue and I have the choice to go bad or to go good, but I'm going to try to be positive. what is that?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. I think, one, I've got to keep going for her, and I've got to keep going for Brianna. You know, I mean, she lost her sister, and she kind of feels alone.
And they were how many ages? How many years
Just
apart?
a year apart.
Yes,
1 year apart.
Yeah. 1 year, 3 months.
And year,
exactly.
3 months. Very close couple.
But yeah, I feel that, you know, she's got to know that we're here for her as long as we can be here. And, you know, I don't want to, she suffered a big loss. I don't want her to have to suffer a second loss. So, not right now. In the correct time, yes. So, you know, I have my days. Every time I drive up the 15 by the cemetery, it's tough. It's tough. But you have just things that tell me is, hey, you know what, there's more to life. You got your wife, you got your daughter, and a lot of friends out there, and, you know, you just got to keep going. If Vicky was here, that's what she'd be telling me. Dad, you know, I don't want you sad. I want you to keep going. So,
Well, he covers the family perspective, you know. To me, is I think as now I'm able to see it from that point of view. Right at the beginning wasn't, you know, because you're in such a tremendous heavy pain, the heartache and the mental, being so exhausted mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually with the loss of, I don't know if I want to call it loss of your child, but having to give back to God your child. It is a tremendous experience, you know, something that I don't wish to anyone. But I have to say this now. I can say this. I had no idea that Victoria was able to see almost like ahead of what we could face in the future. And to me, something that it keeps coming back to my mind is that request, those 2 requests of legacy that she has. That was one right at the beginning of diagnosed when she was like 11 plus or something, close to 12, and then she tells her, Mommy, I want a legacy. That she was like a little kid because she looked like younger than 11. And she said, I want a legacy. And I had no idea that she, you know, how did she know that word, first of all? We never talk about it. You know, how I was alone in the car with her. We just went to get ice cream because we were on radiation. And then she said, Mommy, Mommy, I want to say something to you. I said, yes, go ahead, honey. I thought she was going to say that ice cream is so good or something. She said, I want a legacy. And I'm like,
wow.
Legacy to me is when someone knows that it's going to die, right? And I'm like, oh, it hurts. Because I'm like, she is too little to know about legacies and stuff. So, and I'm like, would you want a legacy? She said, yeah, Mommy, I want a legacy. But since it hurt me so much to hear her say that, because I'm expecting her to get cured, right? I said, well, then we'll talk about it later on. And we never did talk about it again throughout those years until it's in transplant. Just finishing transplant, we were getting ready like a few days before going home, and she's talking to this nurse, and this nurse, they became very good friends here because you spend like 5 weeks in the hospital. Some of them spend like months. Victoria only spent like 5 weeks, and then she says the nurse leaves the room, and then she's like, she's so joyful. Victoria has like that special light, you know, when she can, you know, it was very special to witness that. And then she turned to me and she said, see, Mom, I told you, I want a legacy. I want a legacy of joy. I want people to remember me with joy, and that it's possible to go through adversity with joy. And then it's just like a flashback to when she was just diagnosed, and a few months later, she's saying the same thing. And that now has impacted me like a fuel, like a spark, like a light. It's like a turn around the pain, Mom. Remember what I said to you. I want a legacy of joy for others. It's like she was preparing the path of how to recover from such a devastation. And now the focus is others. It's not anymore taking her, seeing her, loving her. You know, not anymore. It's like, Mom, now do this for somebody else. And that legacy, I feel like it's like a tremendous motivation and a way to recover and now have joy again in life. That's now what I can see. But if you would ask me the same question like 2 years ago, my response would have been different. But now, since I have experienced that joy, seeing other kids and other families receiving, and those kids some of them are dying, and receiving the messages from the mothers on text message or voicemail and saying, this is beautiful. Thank you. You had done. I've seen my child smile, but not like this. Thank you so much for bringing those gifts for my child or helping us with gas or whatever. I'm talking about what now we're doing on Victoria's Legacy. I'm like, you little stinky Victoria, you knew that this was going to bring me a lot of joy now. You prepared this for the family. But that's my experience, right? From my part, it's an authentic joy that now I experience, and it's like, thank you, honey. You did it well, my love. I love you. We were about to leave the event, so I said, sit down here in this small living room. Sit down here. I said, we'll come back. We will come back to, I'll go ahead and tell her we're leaving. And Mom, I'm so sorry to disappoint you. You're not disappointing me. I'm so sorry that I was trying to tell you what to say, and I know that you don't function like that. And you're my daughter, and that's what that's what mattered to me. Nothing else. Now, want your well-being. Your well-being is to for us to go back home and you can rest. So she said, okay, let me rest over here. And I went to sit again with Larry. It was a gala. It was a nice place. It was a nice thing. And I told Larry, I think we're going to go home. What? Yes, it doesn't feel good. And I want the well-being of Victoria before anything. I'm going to have to go and tell them that Victoria won't. I mean, he won't be in the speech and all that. I'm like, oh, but sorry, Victoria's first. So we were sitting and discussing, and they come to tell me, oh, Victoria's going to be ready. And I'm like, do I tell them that she won't be going up in the stage and all that? With what's his name? Grant, because he is the guy to do the auctions.
Fill in a piece of this, because we were wondering. We're sitting at the table, we're both talking like, oh God, we're going to leave. We feel bad, yes. And we see this guy sitting there with her. It's like,
and there was she sit down in the back in those like a sitting area they have for people wanting to go away from all the noise, And
Grant goes over, and we didn't know who this guy was. Never met him. Just going, what the hell's going on? He's sitting with my daughter, but she had a smile on her face. So I thought, okay, whatever he's telling her, it's good. And then, did they both come over, or she came over and said, I feel better now?
No, I went there.
Oh, okay.
I said, wait, let me see, who is that man sitting with my child? So I went like, I'll be right back. So I went there, and I'm like, I'm approaching, and I can tell that he was like, oh, that must be Mommy. He said, hi, I am Grant Snyder. I am the auctioneer of the event. I saw that, I guess she's Victoria, right? She's supposed to be with me, yes. Oh, I just met her, and I'm talking to her. She does not feel good. I told her that I'm very sorry. He is such a great man and gentleman. And then says, but I told her that I just, look at Mom, I'm real, I have friends, they have an orphanage in Kasisi in Africa. And I know these nuns. And I just call sister right now and say, put Victoria in prayer, please. Because she is going to the stage. She just said she wants to go to the stage. So I called sister, and she said, I'm having my nuns right now in prayer for Victoria to go up on the stage. And then Victoria says, yep, I feel better now. So I'll go with you on the stage. And I'm like, what? You just told me you want to go home. I'm like, oh, but we were going home. And she said, oh, Victoria, whatever. No, I feel perfect. I'm going up on the stage with him. So, Mom, you go sit down with my dad, and I'll see you later. And he says, are you sure, Mrs. Smitherman? Are you okay with it? I said, if I say no, she's going to say, like, oh, I'm going to do it. Mom, this is the way I'm going to go. And I'm like, okay, Victoria, just make sure, please, you're okay, no headache, no. I'm willing for us to go home. I want her well-being. And so, and he was also like, Victoria, whatever you want. Just says, no, I feel perfect. Let's go. She got with him, and it's the people are clapping. The event is starting and all that. she goes there, and that girl.
Oh, he kept her up there the whole time.
whole
She was
time.
just supposed to be up there 10 minutes.
Like, or less. Yeah.
And then the bidding started declining. It was slowing down. And then he says, Victoria, talk to these guys. Let them know what this is about. And she
so
raised
funny.
an extra, what, almost $30,000 bucks?
I don't know. I think she said that. They said that.
Everybody opened their wallets. This is going to really help. And
Yeah, she told him that. Open your
and boy,
wallets, give.
it was like it just exploded in there. So it was pretty good. She had her ways. So.
And going into that thing that telling her what to do, that was the only time that I was trying to tell her write something, and it went really bad. I just was like, okay, God, you are in control, so I'll let you walk through her. Whatever.
She was good at speaking. I call it off the cuff, but I guess speaking from the heart. You know, she didn't need a script or anything. She could just. She became a great public speaker. I mean,
well,
how
encouraged,
she was.
you know,
Totally.
it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Very, of course, like those ones that you very prepared, you know. But I think that was kind of that's the beauty of anyone that does that, you know, that when they speak are just from their heart and just natural. So you gotta be.
Yeah, you know, I'm in Toastmasters, and so every meeting is to help you become a more effective speaker and better.
Right.
There's different roles, and people will listen for different things, and then at the end, there's like an after-action review, and like, hey, Larry, you said 3 times, or and then there's different things that people are taught to become more eloquent and, you know, make less mistakes. But you can screw every word up, and you can stutter, and you can have pregnant pauses, but if you're speaking from your heart, and you're making a connection, people don't care about any of that
goes
crap.
away.
They don't. So, and some people are very good at speaking from the heart, and other people they don't, you know, they try, and again, so there's, it's okay, but I think what happens is a lot of times people are too focused on how am I going to be perceived?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say this right. I'm not, you know, my hair's messed up. Or I don't have that problem, but other people might, you know? And when you're focused on that and you're focused on how you're being perceived, it's very hard to have a connection. It's very hard to get that message out. Mm-hmm. But if you don't care about any of that, that message is refined, even though the delivery might not be perfect, but if you're speaking from your heart and that's what you thought about, that's what you're thinking, I believe that nobody cares about any of the other stuff. Yeah. So the message is what's important. So that's kind of my own perspective on that whole thing. But Victoria 100% spoke from her heart. And that's not something that can be taught. That's something that you either have or you don't. So now, fast forward, and you started the Victoria Sparks of Joy, right? So tell me a little bit specifically about that.
Well, right at the beginning the beginning of Victoria Sparks of Joy, honestly, was because Brianna decided to start it. It was in the back of my mind that Victoria wanted a legacy, but honestly, I was too, and you know, of course, Larry and all of us, we were not, well, at least we were not ready. Even Brianna, I believe, we were not ready in a way that, you know, you need to have this enthusiasm to start something, you know, with joy and all that, when really it was a devastation within us, you know. Still until now, you know, we miss her tremendously. But right at the beginning, it's still worse, you know. Every single day after you bury your child, it's just, how can I say? I mean, you need help to breathe. You miss your child so much that it becomes a devastation in every single angle of us as a humans. And you're struggling with that when Brianna says, Mom, because Brianna knew that Victoria wanted a legacy. So, Mom, I want to start Victoria's legacy. And I'm like, well, I can't, honey. I said, I just can't do that. This is very hard. Yeah, this very soon. Well, I want to start it. So Brianna says, I don't know, but I want to start Victoria's legacy, and I really want to do it. And that was like what? Right at the end of Victoria passed away on November 7th. And then Brianna was pushing for it already in January, December, January. And I'm like, I can't do this. But I saw Brianna the same way that I would respected Victoria and her way that she was handling her young life, with cancer. I also did not want to stop Brianna on her own plans as young as she was. So I needed to apply the same principles that we apply with Victoria, apply with Brianna too, and respect what she was wanting to do. I said, "Oh God, please help me, help my son and support now, Brianna, with this." And this is worse than we're carrying this heavy cross. Miss Victoria tremendously and loving her like never before, and well, then she all of a sudden Brianna it's funny because she would come from high school, going through a very difficult time in high school too. Brianna had a hard time adapting again to school, and she was coming. She was in class and she was drawing logos on her own names, how to call Victoria's legacy and Brianna. So you're serious about it, Brianna, huh? I am. Says, look, Mom, and I still have those at home.
Oh, cool.
I have the drawings and the names that she was trying to come up with, and that's the way everything started. So I said, okay, so you want to do it? Let's call some friends. What is your plan, Brianna? I said, well, Victoria wanted to impact people in the Ronald McDonald house and in the hospital and everywhere. So let's start Ronald McDonald house. We chose Los Angeles Ronald McDonald house, a very dear place for us, because it became our second home, and the staff became like a family for us, and they treated us like, that place really became really a second home and a blessing for the Smitherman family.
Well, I don't know, that we met people there that were from other countries, had been stuck there for over a year.
Wow.
And over there, to get a hotel, I had to get a hotel a couple of times. It was like $150 for a dump. And it was, semi-state, had to go to Glendale and stuff. But, I feel for people because the cost there, the safety and everything, it's tough. Ronald McDonald House is a God savior. It just...
Well, the staff, I have to say this,
Yeah.
the people, the staff in the house, everyone treated us very well, the people behind, the people that you don't see, who's handling, the whole, what's happening, to give shelter to families like us with seriously ill children, some that recovered, some that passed away, and it's a awesome place to be, and also, having all these people behind the scenes that are taking care of us is amazing.
So, was it when Victoria was in the hospital and then you two, and then and Brianna came to the Ronald McDonald house?
The Ronald McDonald house is right behind the hospital. In
Yeah.
LA, for the Children's Hospital Los Angeles, is almost right behind the hospital. It doesn't just carry or take care of families from the CHLA, also from all the hospitals.
Well, I remember from my own personal experience when Sage was in the hospital. He was in the NICU for a little over 7 months, and the Ronald McDonald house was something for parents like us that our kid was inside the hospital, and so
Yes.
that's why I was curious. Was Victoria in the hospital and you guys stayed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And even like when she had the 30 days of radiation, so we were going back and forth. So it was outpatient care, treatment. So we will go and take radiation, and we'll come back to our McDonald house. So they shelter families. Now the child can be in the hospital, or the child can be in certain treatment where they had to keep going back and forth, and they need to have a place because for whatever reason the child go through something. So it's just a shelter for a child going through very difficult times or coming from other parts of the country or the world.
And
No place
we
to stay.
avoided that place. The first go around of chemo and stuff, they offered that to us, and we avoided it because our thoughts were, let's keep a normalcy. Let's get her home and she's in her own environment, not with other kids that are afflicted or sick. And that was kind of a mistake. We did it, but when we started staying there, we saw that, there's an advantage to doing this. They have a family support team. So if you're having a rough day or a rough moment, you can sit down and talk with someone, or Vicky could have talked with someone, or she could have, or even Brianna. But they've got a good support system there. So I would just tell anybody, if you're in that, don't avoid it. It's a good place to be. It's a positive place to be, and sometimes being around those folks, it helps you. You know, you realize you're not alone in this situation. And Ronald McDonald House did some wonderful things, and we saw people there that, you know, were living on pocket change. But you know what? In the pantry, there's always cereal, there's always canned goods, there's something that they can eat there. And, you know, it's just a savior for them. So I would advise, if anybody hears this, do what you can to support Ronald McDonald House.
Especially the LA one.
Yes. If you're afflicted with anything, don't avoid them, embrace them. And, you know, if you have a way to do donations or help out, please help them. It's just a well orchestrated organization. So.
And sometimes you guys take donations for Ronald McDonald House, right?
Well, because it's one of our programs on the Victoria Sparks of Joy. So one of our programs is to support the Los Angeles Ronald McDonald House. And in that program, too, we collect things for the house. And also we have this youth group, you know, that is our volunteers to take care of the families and children there when we go visit. So
how old are they?
The youth group. They can join teens in high school from grades to 9 to 12. Why do we do those ages? Is because they're a bit more mature on going into an environment where they may take care of, even if it's just for a couple of hours, where they gotta take care of these parents and children that can be from cancer to any other kind of illness, because they shelter families with children, especially ill children with any kind of, you know, physical challenge. So the youth group, if they are beyond 17, 18, 19, that's okay. They can join, still be part of the group, but pretty much it's from ages 15, 14, almost 15 and above.
We in just to tell what we do there, you know, when we set up before pandemic, unfortunately, we set up a day. So we'll go out and we'll set up like maybe 10, 12, 14 tables. And, you know, like around Mother's Day, she did a purse drive. If anyone's got a low mileage purse, you know, or almost new, donate it. And, you know, then we started doing the kids, we let them come out with the activities. We're the logistics. We give them a place to meet. We give them transportation to get them to the McDonald House. We take care of the coordination. But all this is the kids. We put the onus on them to come up with things. So we've done nail polish. My buddy's an artist, and he does mosaic artists with tiles. So he brings stuff in. And it's a funny, out of 12 or 14 things that we've targeted the kids, there's some things that the moms gravitate to, or the parents, like the nail polishing. And we did the purses at one time. This one lady was almost in tears. She goes, I feel like I'm at spa today. You know,
wow.
She took to it. So the moms started coming over and we thought it would be the teens. The moms came over and started getting their nails done.
We do it for our mothers, so
yeah.
Children. We thought it was going to be oriented for mothers and children, but now the parents need to be pampered there too.
Yeah.
Because they're going through so much.
So we try to incorporate that in. Pamper the parents, pamper the kids, and make it a fun day. So, and it works out very good. We serve them, we try to come up with a good meal for them, and with the food, with the you know, the tables set up where they can come out and do crafts or nail polishing or whatever. It seems they like us. I mean, whenever they see our name up there, they're pretty happy, and they know.
And it's funny because it's just the families in Ronald McDonald House, but also one of the other part of the joy of this is that it is so rewarding to see the youth being involved.
Oh yeah.
You know, and learning the art of serving others, and especially when they see children, because I mean, you don't expect to see children being so seriously ill, and it's an impact for them to see that. Maybe while they are enjoying life, you know, there are other ones that are not having a good time from very young age, teenagers and all that. So it's an experience all the way around for the youth group, because they get to, you know, not just to hear about it, see it on TV, but get their hands
Experience.
experience it, get their hands. They are that when we are going there, we tell tell them, you are going to be one-on-one. You're not coming like being helpers. You're volunteering, you're not going to be moving just tables and chairs, setting up, and I'm gone, I'm done. No, we can do that, but you're going to do the main job, and it's to sit in behind the table, and you're going to be talking to the mothers, the children, and some kids are so thirsty of having fun, that when they see teenagers are like, yay, this is going to be fun. It's like they are like me almost, like I can relate to them. They're going to be fun, and they like that. The families there, the children love to see that, and we offer them that platform where they can experience the one-on-one relationship with a child, that they're helping them directly, not indirectly. Not just I'm gonna do this and then send it and making it happy. No, they they get to actually be there and interact directly with those families and children and see from themselves, what is to serve seriously ill children. Very interesting.
There's three things that stick with my mind from this, on our side of the fence, I guess I would say, but. I remember being there one time and this little boy was just clinging onto the boys. And the mom came over and said, my God, he won't even come down here to eat. I've never seen him this happy.
Oh,
yeah, I remember.
And the second one was a little girl that was clinging onto the girls there, and she just stuck and was doing craps over and over again. It was to the point of kind of a little bit of annoyance, but you know what? The girls took it very well. They embraced her in, and she had a great day. And then the third, this always sticks with me. We always get to the Ronald McDonald house, and as we're setting up, we get a quick meeting and say, okay, we're going to set up over here, start talking about it. And this little boy, he must have been about 5 or 6, comes up and starts playing the piano.
Oh, he was like 5. Yeah. He was 4 or 5, something like that.
Real loudly, and we thought, what's he doing? We'd never get upset. We just kind of smiled.
No, it was beautiful. It was actually
playing
beautiful.
This kid was blind.
Was blind.
Oh, wow.
He didn't realize what was going on, but he heard a couple of voices, and he played very well.
The father said that he heard like there were young ones coming, like the voices of the teenagers, and he got excited on showing what he could do. We thought he was able to sing.
Yeah, because he looked like he didn't look like it.
Wow.
And he's blind. So that right there, that testimony, the teenagers keep bringing it over. Those ones that experienced that moment, they said, one thing that we cannot forget is seeing this blind kid and happy. I think the impact that it has is that they see that these kids they have some situations, like this kid is blind, and they see them and smile and be so joyful. So it's a message right there for them.
Well, look at the kid.
Talking about adversity, that you say, how do you face adversity in life? And they go directly to experience children with serious adversities and still being able to give the biggest smile.
Look at the kid that was adopted that we became friends with the mom. Remember they moved to San Diego? Kid was from Indonesia, I think. She had adopted him.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd be there at the house. We remember because they were staying there.
Months
and the kid would be, I don't know, he's somewhat of a character, but he was kind of quiet. And when we get there, oh my God, he'd light up. He was just like an entertainer, joking and everything. So, that's one side of the coin. The other side is our kids that have been there. We've had some kids that have made career choices doing this. One was a good friend of my daughter Brianna's, Jocelyn, and she's now going to go after pediatric. What was it?
It is a psychology, child life, psychology and child life, because of having the experience to visit sick children in the hospitals and in the Ronald McDonald house.
So there's a lot of positive on both sides. The kids that are doing this, I think they learn about giving. Some have had, I think, career-altering experiences with this. And, the kids that we help, and it's not, when I say we, I'm saying collectively, the kids that serve these kids, and what we do to just get them involved and get them there. But this thing's gone quite a bit differently in some ways than I think we ever expected it to do.
And thanks to many people. And
Yeah,
I gotta say
we're
that thanks to many
blessed.
people. We don't want to take credit for whatever we have done so far, because honestly, alone we can do too little, and that's so true. Honestly, I mean, yes, alone we can do too little, and this is thanks to a lot of people behind, from the volunteers, the parents of the volunteers, the givers, our donors, people like you that supported Victoria
Yes.
from day one, friends, the community. We can name all these wonderful people that supported Victoria when she was alive, on her journey, and then they move forward to keep supporting now her legacy. So to speak about just us, or how Brianna had that spark, I always tell Brianna, we had the spark and you make it like go. I think what's Victoria the spark, of course, but it will be too selfish to just say that, this Smitherman family. That will be seriously selfish, because honestly, we can, it's like an ad. The three of us wouldn't have done this, honestly. Of course, under the blessing of God, we couldn't. We just can't, actually. We just couldn't, and we can't. So what do we do without volunteers? Who's making those children smile in the Los Angeles McDonald house? The teenagers, right? Who's making things possible with providing food and shelter and help and touching out, because we, Children's Hospital Los Angeles, authorized us to become one of the organizations to be in their system for social services and oncology. So now children in their hospital are referred to us when they are seriously ill, and we focus more in the needy families, if you want to say it like that, or terminal children, with cancer. So now social services at CHLA and oncology is referring us children.
And that's just so once you get a referral, what happens then?
Oh, we move forward with Bags of Joy and Passion and Family Support. And Bags of Joy is the putting bags of happiness for them. So we tell them, you have this amount of money, give us all what the kid wants within this amount of money, and we'll get it for them. So we pack their favorite toys or whatever we can buy with this certain amount of money, and then we, with the patient family support, we give them a gift card or gas card, and then after we accomplish that, we continue to support the family with gas cards or food cards. Now, if the child, after we drop off those bags of joy, but then they tell us, my child needs pajamas, my child needs this, the patient, we'll go ahead and take care of it, because we know what is to be there. Victoria received so much of many people that we believe that every child has that right. And even though we cannot do everything we want to because of financially, we still try to do whatever we can. If the mom says, like recently, this mom says, my child, we help them already with the Bags of Joy, and we give them already the Passion and Family Support, which is the gas card, which is what the parents want most.
Yes, for
and
sure.
And then she called me and says, my daughter needs a Pediasure badly, and I don't have money to buy it. Can you help me? Of course. I mean, where do I send you the gift card? You go get it wherever you want to go get it, because they're in LA. I said, can I get fast enough to you? Because it's all the way to LA. So, but I'll send you this to you, by email. So go get the Pediasure for your child. And stuff like that. We move forward helping them with how can you say no? We were in that situation, and we had people there helping us, and hearing a mother say, I don't have a way to get them their favorite drink, or this Pediasure because she's in radiation, doesn't want to eat anything but just drink Pediasure. Can you please? She asked us to actually drop off the Pediasure all the way in the hospital. I'm like, we can go to the hospital at this moment, so I don't want you to wait until I can go. So get the Pediasure right away. Here's the money. Go get it. Do you have someone to go get it for you? Yes, I do. Even if it's a nurse that will make me a favor, so go get it. So those kind of details of the kids continue to need care, and especially when we know what is to be there you need something and you may not have the funds to do it, it's very devastating for the parent to have your child ask you for something that you cannot provide, and the child is so ill. So especially those terminal children with terminal cancer.
So if somebody wanted to reach out and help or get a hold of you, how would they find you?
Well, we are in the midst to build a website, and it's our fault because we have already the web designer, and this guy is amazing. So he's ready to go. He's excited to help us. But we are right there with sending content where he can put it all together. But for now, it's email, and they can send us direct messages on Victoria Sparks of Joy page on Facebook, and Victoria Sparks of Joy page on Instagram. So either direct messages there, email is the best, because then you can print and track all who's, communicating with you. That's the best.
And what was the email address again?
It's Victoria Sparks of Joy @gmail.com.
But it's just V Sparks of Joy.
vsparksofjoy.com for now, but we're gonna be changing everything to an email for .org in the future. When the website is all finished, we're gonna be having all under the website, and our email address will change, so it will be .org at the end. So, but we are in the midst of that. But for now, it's vsparksofjoy@gmail.com.
Okay, and like you said, on Instagram and on Facebook,
Yeah,
Victoria Sparks of Joy.
It's just Sparks of Joy. A lot of the parents in the hospital reach us like that because everyone is in social media, so they find easier just to send a direct message to us
Very
on
cool.
our page.
Well, hopefully you'll have a lot of content on that little hard drive that I gave you, because there's a lot of great content on there. Again, it's just raw footage, but at some point, I can put stuff together. You can have whoever, but at least you have it. And I think going through it should be. I think it'll be good.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Appreciate a lot.
And everything comes in time too, right? Because I think sometimes, I think you're maybe at when everything first happened, maybe it wasn't the right time because maybe it hurt too much or whatever. But I feel like, I don't know, but I think this was the right time that you're supposed to have all the footage.
Thank you.
Because we talked about doing it before, but it just never happened.
It's just for one reason or the other. Okay, we had to go. And also, we got to get this from Scotty. Yeah, we'll do it. But like you say, there's a time for everything, right? A perfect time for everything.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I think that this was a really good... I mean, we could do this all damn day long because I have a lot of questions, and I know you guys have a lot of things that you can... A lot of insights to put out there, but... I know I want to be respectful of your time, and I know you guys had some place to go, so we can cut it off and then maybe do a round 2, or if you guys have any things that come up, if you guys want to use this for any... However, I can help, I will help, I'm there.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
To you. Thank you for what you did for Victoria. That B-Day, she was super happy when you did that through what's the Unsung Hero. It was just amazing that she was so excited for her birthday, and after that, having an hour block that B-Day celebration. It was a really impact. It was also in a time where we were processing yet her death, and it was, but it's still, there was something there that kept pushing us, keep going. I think it's like she was, rooting for all of us and from heaven. So thank you so much, Scotty, for all the joy that you brought to Victoria during her time being here. You brought a lot. So thank you so much. We appreciate what you did through your non-profit organization to make her feel happy.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with that whole the legacy for Victoria and how it pushes you, right, to show the joy, right? And so that same thing happened with me and my little brother.
I remember your brother. See, is still there, right?
Yeah.
Yes. My brother, yeah. But it's impossible not to have still that joy with ache. It's a heartache. It's like I have.
It is.
It's both things at the same time.
Yeah, and so thank you for allowing me to help. So that's where this whole thing is. It works out, you know. And then you are helping other people, and then we all just keep doing that, and we're focused on that, you know. And it is a choice. Sometimes it's a hard choice, but we always have the choice on how we direct that, because that emotion is there, and it's either gonna be powerful pushing you down, or it's gonna be powerful pushing something else up. And if you can direct it to help push somebody else up, I think that's
requires efforts, huh?
What's that?
It requires efforts, because it's much easier to go to the other side where we can become either bitter or, you know, devastated in ways that it takes us a long, long time to recover. But there's something that is when there's something good telling us, you know, that's with your brother, telling you, hey, you can do good things out of this, you know. You're missing me. I know. They know that we miss them, right?
Yeah.
There's something to tell us that they know we miss them, but it's a way to turn things around, and then you start seeing what comes out of it, you know. Unsung hero, what did for Victoria. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, and then when both of us doing things to help the other kids that, you know, the Elijah with Duchenne's, and and then we had the other girl that had to have her eye amputated. Remember that?
Oh yes, she's doing good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, the family. Yeah, it's awesome. So there are things that.
Let's just don't forget that there's we're called to do that. You know, they're called to. That's our main. I believe that's another thing I learned from Victoria. She always believed that I'm here for a mission. There's a video there where she's very explicit right before. That was like 2 months before she passed away. I believe that I came here for a mission, and I'm accomplishing my mission. And I believe that that's what it is for all of us. You know? It's not just Victoria, but for all of that's what we have. And, you know, we're accomplishing our mission in every single way that God is pointing us to go.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Scotty.
Thank you very much for coming here, driving over here to the Studio C.
I love it. It's cool.
It's very nice.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm happy that it's actually here, and you know, these kind of situations and conversations can come up, and you know, there's somebody somewhere that's driving at some point that's going to be listening to this, and it's going to make a difference, and it's going to help. Maybe they're going to donate something to the Ronald McDonald Foundation, or maybe they're going to volunteer with your organization, and then that benefit that somebody else is going to receive that's hurting, that is suffering, that is something like that. So this being able to do that, set this up here, and have an impact. And again, we don't know the ways, but I am a firm believer that if you're doing something in a positive direction and you're pushing for the right reasons, that there will be ripple effects. There will be things that will benefit that we don't understand right now, and that's okay. So
Victoria told me many times that, hey Mom, when I will go into my negative zone, she'll tell me, hey Mom, you know, she will come back to me and say to me, you know, you don't know what God's doing. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. And I'm like, oh, I don't even think in the future, not tomorrow. She's seeing things way ahead. And I'm like, I know, Victoria, I understand. So come on, cheer up. You know, it's going to be okay. When they gave us out devastating news or that she's going to face something else, and I'm like, oh, I will go to my negative zone, you know, like, again. But, you know, for people out there, like you say, you know, that doubt, that adversity can be turned around and something good can come out of it. It's biblical, and it happens. Yeah. So it is possible.
Well, I want to end this on a little bit of a serious note, but a funny note at the end. You know, the day we drove Victoria, it was going to be a hospice situation at the hospital. And when we get out to L.A., I'd always get off there by Alameda Station. And there was a homeless guy always there with the thing. And Vicky'd, Dad, let's give him something. You know, always give him a few bucks. And the day we went in the hospital, she was almost incoherent, and she was holding on to Veronica in the back seat.
She was very much already kind of, she was not even opening her eyes anymore, hardly speaking, just going a hard time.
And Brianna goes, "Oh, Dad, look, there's that guy, we normally help. Mom, do you have a couple of bucks?" And she said, "Well, I can't get to my purse." Victoria almost pushed her away to do that, to give the guy a few bucks. And she was like that. We'd be driving and someone was holding up a sign, or, "Dad, can we stop?" And, "Sure." And she was just giving.
There's a lot of story of things to say. There's some things that we won't be able to share, but.
Well, let me finish on my happy note, because I told everybody a little bit of a heart-wrenching thing, but I'll tell you something on my daughter. Don't get upset for me telling this, but it's funny. Vicky was a joker. And about a couple years before, when she was still real coherent and stuff, I got a new phone, and I was having a hard time. I had a meeting in the morning, all this stuff going on, and it was key people, and Vicky says, "Oh, Dan, I'll set your phone up for you." And so she set it up, brings it over and shows me everything. And oh, God, man, she saved my butt. So the next morning, going to this conference room, I'm with 10, 12 key executives and sitting there and going to do a presentation. And sitting there for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden, my phone starts to ring. And I hear this different ring, and I hear this, calling. I go, "What?" And it gets louder.
Oh, no.
And then finally it comes out. An asshole is calling you. And I see all these faces at the table looking around like, who the hell's phone is that? And I'm under the table. I'm surprised I didn't break my phone in half. I'm pinching every button and squeezing everything, and it finally stopped. And I thought, oh, that little turd. She pranked me.
She was a joker.
Oh,
Victoria
God, yeah.
She did I'm gonna change my dad's ringer without knowing this ringer. I don't know how she got it. They were, how those kids are very savvy on things with the electronics. So I wouldn't be upset. She would do some things, jokes. She was full of fun. She was so fun. And like Larry said, guess what happened? I'm in a meeting and girl, Victoria got my phone. She said, "Well, she changed the ringer to this." I'm like, really? Oh my God. It was so funny.
Well, she's smart because she set it up because I had a few phone calls before that. So she just set it up for a few that I think she looked at my phone to see who normally contacts me and then put it for those because I had a few calls.
She did for all the one, yeah.
Oh, yeah. She was a sharp little cookie,
She said, this person call is going to ring like this. And she put I don't know how she got it, but it was so funny.
Oh,
well, Scotty,
that's
thank
cool.
you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, so I never did the introduction, but my name is Scotty Carlisle, and thank you for tuning in to the Move podcast. Today, we already just jumped right in, so we didn't have time for a good conversation, we did have a good conversation. We didn't have time for a very good introduction. That's my fault, but we have Larry and Veronica Smitherman here, and now you guys know them, so who cares about their name, right? You know them. And Victoria Sparks of Joy and vsparksofjoy at gmail.com. And then you can also find them on Facebook and Instagram, Victoria Sparks of Joy. If you want to reach out to them, if you want to help out, whether it's Ronald McDonald Foundation, whether it's helping be a volunteer, so you guys might be able to make some terminal ill children or very sickly children, you might make their day. Yes. And what an experience that would be. So I urge, if anybody's listening and you're trying to figure out what to do with your life, take a second, introduce yourself to Larry and Veronica, and make a damn difference.
Yes. We appreciate that. We really do.
You're doing that, Scotty, with you and everything. Yes. We learned that from people like you too, so thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. And I love you, but I gotta leave you. See you guys next time.